everyone, and welcome to another What's for Dinner on WW. In this video, I'm going to be showing you what we had for dinner this week on WW, as well as giving you points, calories, and macros for all of these meals. Be sure though to check down below in the description box for all the info you're going to be wanting for these meals, as far as points, instructions, ingredients, additional nutritional info, and WW recipe builder links. If I have done a previous video on one of these, a full previous video on one of these meals, I will have links to those videos where all of that info will be as well. But let me jump in and show you what we had for dinner this week. First up this week was chicken noodle casserole. We love this one. To me, it's just kind of a classic comfort food. And it's also one I know that my picky kiddo will eat. He loves this as well. As I say often, I try to make things that my son's gonna like as well, so I'm only cooking once, and this is definitely one that fits that bill. So this is gonna start off with getting some water boiling in a large pot, and then you're gonna cook some wheat pasta. Now this time I'm using rotini. You can use whatever type of wheat pasta you want. I used to prefer the egg noodles in this one, but I have a really hard time finding wheat egg noodles where I live, so I just use whatever I have on hand. So while that is cooking to al dente, over here in a large bowl, I'm gonna get the rest of this ready, and that just starts with some chopped boneless, skinless chicken breasts that I baked in my oven. Then I'm gonna add in some almond milk. You could use whatever type of milk you want. And then next up, I'm going to be adding in 24 ounces or 2 bags of these frozen mixed veggies. Now, I've got these to where they're slightly defrosted. I had them in the fridge for a while because I wanted them to get on their way to defrosting so that when I bake this in the oven, they get all the way heated through. Because I've made this before with frozen, completely frozen, and the veggies didn't get all the way heated. So just a little tip, get those veggies kind of on their way to defrosting before you use them. So next up, I'm gonna add in 2 cans of cream of chicken soup, and this is just the 98% fat-free kind. Then I'm gonna add in some shredded Parmesan and some fat-free Greek yogurt. You could also use fat-free sour cream. Then I'm gonna just stir all of that together really well. Once you've got that all mixed together really well, you're going to take a 13 by 9 inch casserole dish, spray it with a little bit of cooking spray, and then you're gonna just pour that in. You're gonna smooth it out in your dish, and then you're gonna bake this at 400 uncovered for about 25-30 minutes. And then at that point, you're gonna top it with some cheese. I'm just using this Mexican blend. It's a low-fat blend of shredded cheese. So I'm gonna top it with that. And then I'm gonna put this back in the oven, again at 400, for another 5 to 10 minutes, or until that cheese is nice and melted and looks like this. Here is dinner tonight. I've got a serving of that chicken noodle casserole, which is 1/8 of the total, and it is 7 points. So along with that, I'm just having a little side salad there. That's just some baby romaine, tomato, and onion, all for 0 points. And then I'm gonna be using a little bit of this zesty Italian fat-free dressing. I'll probably just use a serving size, which is 2 tablespoons and 1 point. So that's gonna make my dinner total for tonight 8 points. Next up was taco bubble up. I love the bubble ups. I have several of them on my channel, and I just really enjoy all of them. This one might actually be my favorite though. I used to do these with refrigerator biscuits, which is kind of the traditional way, but now I do them all with a 2-ingredient dough, just because it cuts down on points, and I really enjoy it in that. But you could definitely do these still with refrigerator biscuits if you wanted to make them even easier. Just adjust for that point-wise. This starts with getting a batch of 2-ingredient dough made up, which is just 1 cup self-rising flour and 3/4 cup fat-free Greek yogurt. I'm also gonna add a little bit of granulated garlic into mine today for a little extra flavor, but that's all there is to this. And as I said before, you don't have to do this. You can do refrigerator biscuits to make this even easier. For comparison, this dough is 14 points. So you would want to use an amount of refrigerator biscuits that would equal that 14 points or factor in for higher points for this meal. So you're gonna just stir all that together really well until it starts to form a dough. And then I like to knead mine for about 3 to 5 minutes. I just find that that makes it easier to work with. So that's how I do mine. So I'm gonna knead it. And then once I've got this all kneaded, I'm going to roll it out. And then I'm gonna just kind of cut it into pieces. Because since I'm doing a bubble up, I'm looking for little pieces of dough that I can mix into my casserole. So once I've got that all cut up, I'm gonna go ahead and just set that aside and then work on the rest of this. In a large pan, I'm gonna get a pound of lean ground turkey browning. I am using a 93% lean. You could use 0% fat ground turkey and that would be no points. The 93% carries 17 points, I believe, but that's what I always buy and that's what I always use. But that would be a way to cut down points on this if you wanted, would be to use a fat-free ground turkey. So I'm gonna just pepper that and get it browning. And then once I've got it browned, I'm gonna add in some garlic, let that cook in there for a minute or so or until it is fragrant. And then I'm gonna add in some taco seasoning and some water. I'm gonna stir that all together really well and let that cook for a little bit until most of that water has evaporated. I'm gonna add in my veggies. I'm using some chopped red bell pepper, chopped red onion, and about a half a bunch of chopped green onions. You can put whatever you want in this. These are just kind of my go-to veggies because I have most of these on hand all the time. But again, you could put whatever you wanted in. So I'm gonna let those cook in there until they start to soften. And then I'm gonna add in a can of this red enchilada sauce. It's 19 ounces. And then a can of rotel. And a can of rinsed and drained black beans. And then I'm gonna just stir all that in really well. Then I'm gonna stir in some of this Mexican style blend cheese. This is the same one that I used in the last recipe I showed. So I'm gonna stir that in until that is melted. And then I'm gonna add in my pieces of dough and I'm gonna stir those in until they start to kind of break up a little bit. You want to get these to where they are starting to heat through. And that's gonna just make sure that when you bake this, that those do get cooked all the way through. So I'll stir that in really well and then kind of let it sit for about 5 minutes or so, just to ensure that dough is starting to heat through. So here in a 13 by 9 inch casserole dish, I'm gonna spray it with a little bit of cooking spray. I'm going to then pour in my bubble up mixture, smooth it out, and then I'm gonna bake this uncovered at 350 for about 30 minutes. Then I'm gonna take it back out. I'm gonna top it with some more of that Mexican style blend cheese. And I'm gonna put it back in the oven, again at 350 for another 5 to 10 minutes or until that cheese is nice and melted, like this. And here is dinner. I've got a serving of that, which is a 1/6 of the total, and it is 11 points. Now that is a little high. You could make these smaller servings if you want to get those points down, but I really love this one, so I like a little bigger portion size for mine. So 11 points for just the casserole itself. And then I topped mine with some fat-free Greek yogurt, a little bit of chopped tomato, and some cilantro, all 0 points. So that's gonna make dinner total for tonight 11 points. And lastly, this week we tried out a new recipe for Italian tortellini soup. I believe I found this on Pinterest. I will have a link to the original recipe that I altered down below, as always. But this one was really good and it was really easy. It was a one pot, which I love because that just means less dishes. But yeah, very tasty soup. This starts off with a large pot. Into that, you're gonna add in some chopped up turkey sausage. I'm just using this Oscar Mayer right here. And then you're also gonna add in some chopped onions, just using a sweet onion this time. And you're gonna cook the two of those in there until that sausage is nice and heated through and those onions are softened. At that point, you're gonna add in some minced garlic, You're gonna stir that in and let that cook in there for a minute or two or until it is nice and fragrant. Then you're gonna add in a can of diced tomatoes. I used no salt added, some water and some chicken broth. You're gonna stir that all together and then you're gonna bring this to a boil. And once it comes to a boil, you're then gonna add in your tortellini. I am using these ones right here. Get them at Sam's Club, just a 5-cheese tortellini. And you're gonna cook those in there until they're most of the way done. Mine only took a couple minutes. Then you're gonna add in some fresh cracked black pepper, a little bit of basil, and then I added in some red pepper flakes as well. You're then gonna add in some spinach. I'm using 8 ounces. You're gonna stir that in, turn down your heat, and let this kind of continue to cook for another couple minutes or until that spinach has wilted down nicely. And that is all there is to this one. It is super simple and really quick to make. Okay, I've got a serving of this. And I factored it in at 6 servings. It makes just about 10 and a half, 11 cups. So a serving size is gonna be 1 3/4 cup, which is what I've got here. And that is 7 points. This is all we're gonna have for dinner tonight. I'm not having any sides or anything. So that's gonna make dinner total for tonight 7 points, but we'll go ahead and give this a try to let you know how it turned out.
So really any dish with, that's not kielbasa per se.
It kind of is. It's turkey sausage. Just
any dish with that is going to be good.
Yeah.
It's got a layer of heat to it.
It's got a little red pepper flakes, not a whole lot.
That's coming through. Mm-hmm. And what is this, tortellini?
That's just 5-cheese tortellini,
Yeah.
Which is always a good thing.
You can't go wrong with simple carbs and fat.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. That's why it sounded good. So good? What do you think about points for that? 7 points.
Oh, totally. With a nice big serving size. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the spinach is part of that profile. That's really good.
All right. So winner. Italian tortellini soup.
The spinach makes it a little messy too.
Yeah, it does. You could use.
Dangles. I got a dangler.
You could do. I didn't use baby spinach. I probably should have. That would have made it not so much of an issue. All right, like I said, 7 points, and that is what we're having for dinner tonight. And that was everything we had for dinner this week on Weight Watchers. I hope maybe this was helpful to you guys. If any of these recipes look good, like something you want to try yourself, be sure to check down in that description box below where, as I said before, you will find all the info that you are going to need. But thank you guys, as always, for watching, and I will see you on the next one.